What's up everybody, Steve here. I'm currently in the process of reading Peter Schiff's book. It's called The Real Crash. So far it's an incredible read. It is a long book. It's packed with a lot of awesome information, and if you guys do want to check it out, I will put an affiliate link down below for you guys to go ahead and click on as well. So in Peter Schiff's book, The Real Crash, he talks about the everything bubble, as well as a lot of information of really how big our federal government has gotten, as well as the enormous amount of money printing. And he backs up a lot of his predictions from history as well as statistical facts. And in his book, The Real Crash, he referenced a video that he has on YouTube. It's called Peter Schiff Was Right. I also put a link for you guys as well so you can check that out next. And basically he put together all the videos of when he was on all the major networks, and basically this is between 2002 and 2007, and you had all these commentators, all these financial commentators basically just attacking him for his prediction of what was going to come in terms of the real estate recession as well as the overall recession. Ultimately, they were wrong and he was right. So now this brings us to today. We are halfway through 2021. And I gotta ask, how does everything feel? To me personally, it feels exactly how it felt right before the last real estate recession. I mean, think about it. We came out of a major pandemic and everything feels right. Everything feels good. And think about it. There's a ton of money printing. There's a ton of stimulus checks. There's a ton of unemployment checks. You don't have to pay your rent if you don't want to. You don't have to pay your mortgage if you don't want to. All these things are contributing to basically, in my estimation, a false sense of enjoyment. Not to mention people's front doorsteps are packed with Amazon packages, and wherever they're gonna allow restaurants to be open, restaurants are packed to the till and people are spending money like crazy. And for most people, everything feels fantastic. But I have to agree with Peter Schiff in his book, The Real Crash. I believe in the future things will get bad and potentially very bad. But maybe I'm just overly cautious due to my bad experience in the last real estate recession. Look, I was not prepared for it. I was not doing my independent research. I was looking at news and media outlets and how great the market is and how great the real estate market is. But I was completely ignorant as to what was to come. I mean, if you look back then, and you can look on Peter Schiff's video, Peter Schiff Was Right, you can look back then that all the news media outlets, they're all saying the same thing. How strong the housing economy is, how strong the stock market is, how strong our overall economy is. But unfortunately, most of that propaganda was built on a false foundation made of toothpicks. And eerily enough, it sounds very familiar to me as it is today. And back then, I didn't do my independent research. I watched the news outlets and I believed what some of these people were saying, and I had that false sense of security. I had that it feels great, everything feels fine, without really doing my research, and ultimately it led me into having to restart and rebuild my wealth. Today I am in a much different position and I am ready for the big crash. How and why? Well, I can tell you I'm financially independent. I don't have any liabilities. I'm free and clear in the place where I live. And ultimately, I have liquidity ready to acquire distressed assets. And now I know some of you guys are watching this and you're saying, look, there's plenty of people to buy more housing and the stock market may not be inflated, and that's fine. You're absolutely entitled to your opinion. But guess what? I'm going to prepare, and I'm going to prepare for a bad day. And if you guys get any value out of this, I want you guys to maybe follow a handful of things that you could do to prepare yourself as well as your family's financial future. Number one, and I think the most important, is don't just listen to me. Don't just listen to Peter Schiff, but go ahead and read and watch other good economists that have previously predicted other market changes, other market, not just crashes, but also maybe other thriving markets. Go ahead and do your independent research, because that will assist you in becoming more well-rounded. Second thing to be prepared is to get rid of what you don't need and sell it and stack that money away. The next thing is get rid of any liabilities that are costing you money on an ongoing basis. Maybe this is a car payment, maybe you picked up a boat, an RV, or any other luxury items that you guys are actually paying interest on money every single month. Get rid of those items, because all that is doing one thing, is just draining money out of your pockets. The next thing is, once you removed all those bad liabilities, start taking those funds and start putting them into a savings account so you can in fact pick up some distressed assets when it does happen. The next thing is, if you guys are in forbearance or maybe you're delinquent on your mortgage, maybe it makes sense to possibly sell your property at the height of the market. I think our real estate market is very high right now. And if we are at the height of the market, it doesn't make sense to cash out and move on. And ultimately, get lean. Get lean as much as possible. Get rid of things you don't need. Don't buy more things that you don't need. Get as lean as possible. Buy in bulk. Buy in bulk, especially with inflation right now and the cost of food going up. Consider picking up like an extra freezer so you can stack food away. But get as lean as possible and save money for the rainy day and the future to come. I did another video on how a hot housing market can hurt you. You guys might want to take a look at that next, because I really do break down basically if you sold a property recently and the market didn't necessarily go up or it just went down a little bit, how upside down you could potentially be when you take in consideration all the closing costs associated with closing and selling that property. So take a look at that next. And I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks a lot.